Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pitstop October 2021 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning question in your tasty brains. What is rolling out now for SharePoint and related technology in Microsoft 365? Who is that? Well, I am Mark the Count Cashman, Senior Product Manager on the Microsoft 365 marketing team. Here to help the ongoing record straight. All right, Count, we'll let you come in and out, but I think we'll focus on this month when we talk with Cathy Dew, a senior program manager on the SharePoint team, focused on much of the integration work between SharePoint and Teams, and the new owner of all things SharePoint hub sites. You'll hear Cathy share more about recent innovation and capabilities for building your own intelligent intranet, including this month's new feature associating one hub site to another, which in and of itself opens a lot of Halloween madness. I mean, fun. The lub-dub of a hub-to-hub is music to the Count's ears. All right. Beyond all the hubbub about the hub-to-hub, we'll focus on everything that landed this month, a few related items, and always fun teasers looking into next month. This podcast is your 30-minute roadmap pit stop where you sit back and give us a share pint of your blood and promise to never OneDrive a wooden stake into my liquid-cooled heart. This is your 30 minutes, a roadmap pit stop to stay ahead of the ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap, to ensure that you know what rolled out in October 2021. Up first with employee engagement, that one-to-many way of communicating all your thoughts, hopes, and dreams, and of course, news and information. The big one this month is the SharePoint Hub-to-Hub Site Association. We are adding the ability to associate a SharePoint hub site to another hub site, with the primary benefit to expand search results across multiple hubs in your organization. This enables users to discover relevant content when searching on any sites related to the associated hubs. We will save all the juicy details for when we talk with Cathy in just a few minutes. This is one of those we know a lot of people have been waiting for, and we're very excited to start rolling this out. Next up, new SharePoint site templates specifically for retail, healthcare, and nonprofit. All these new SharePoint site templates allow organizations to better track and manage information and collaborate. Here's a few highlights about each. For retail, the new retail management and store collaboration templates allow retail employees to manage the store operations more efficiently and foster a better collaborative environment. For nonprofits, the new Volunteer Center template will allow organizers to point volunteers to one place to find key information, access learning materials, and connect with other volunteers. And for the healthcare space, the new Healthcare Collaboration template allows medical practices and healthcare agencies and gives them a safe and secure way to share information that can help provide better patient care and reduce operational costs. These are all really exciting new SharePoint site templates that are now in the mix of a really broad set of site templates that help you quick start very specific needs when you're creating your sites, to give you a jump start, not just a blank site, but one with a specific scenario that drives it. Next up, modern SharePoint site-level term store. We've updated the experience when creating and managing site-level taxonomy terms. This matches the previously updated central term store in the SharePoint Admin Center. It's now easier to navigate your taxonomies and create new and edit terms when classifying and discovering your syntax and SharePoint content. Just head to the Term Store Management option under Site Administration when in Site Settings. So for the SharePoint product in Microsoft 365, terms and conditions apply. Only here, you get to set your own terms. Ba-dum-ts. All right, let us turn to learn more about associating hubs to hubs and all the great things that are now coming and have been in place for the intelligent intranet. Let us turn and talk more with Cathy Dew. I am pleased now to be joined by Cathy Dew, Senior Program Manager on the SharePoint team, who does a whole lot. Let us first bring you into the Interzone. Hello, Cathy.
Well, hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me today.
You are quite welcome. And I think the last time that you were on a Roadmap Pitstop was back in June 2020. And if I remember correctly, or I cheat from the notes that are posted right in front of me, we were talking about blue to teal, the whole SharePoint site theme update. And my hope is that that went smoothly back then and is now just default.
It did, yes. It's so great now. I love seeing teal everywhere.
I think when we're on video, you have a lot of teal in your house.
I do. In my house, in my hair. I just think it was so nice of SharePoint to adopt my favorite color as its product color. It just made it so much easier.
Great way to look at it. Everything on your work plate has grown recently, and it's more additive in that you can certainly tackle a lot. How would you focus a characterization of what your workload is these days?
When I look at and characterize my workload these days, I characterize it as kind of what we're calling core sites. So when you think about things in SharePoint that span across both team sites and communication sites that are core experiences for sites, things like branding and navigation and information architecture and all of the great things that happen across all of that, templates and all of these kind of core site functionalities. That's what I kind of experience and work with now. So how do you utilize SharePoint in those core sites components?
So if we think about the core, then there must be what is more maybe a continuation of the strategy, but also I think worth spending a couple of minutes on an update to the strategy from your perspective with this broader viewpoint that you now bring. You know, if we're increasing these abilities across sites, one way to look at it is across intranet and extranet components that customers set up. How would you summarize how the sites work together, that value of connecting sites and having it be a consistent experience?
Yeah, it's really important when you're looking at planning out your intranet and even your extranets to think about how users are going to experience these. You know, we talk a lot in the SharePoint world about user experience and how people are going to engage with your sites and interact with them. And that really becomes important when you start thinking about things from the SharePoint perspective. We encourage you to create lots of sites and to have that kind of flat architecture where you're creating a site for a purpose. And each of these different sites, you then have to connect together in a way. And how will a user experience that? How will they find content? How will they navigate around through these different sites and with this content? And not just how do they navigate and how do they experience that, but what is the thing that connects it together with the branding and the theming and the colors and the images and all of the different great ways that you can use things to tie your intranets and your extranets together and make them feel cohesive and connected without having them be all in one true structure.
What I hear you saying, and certainly knowing the direction that the team has been on for a little bit, a lot of what we want to talk about today is the ability to have that be prescriptive and programmatic. And one thing I wanted to ask you, mostly just for clarity to our audience, especially if it's been a little bit since they've thought about hub sites, what is your short definition and kind of those key value props when somebody thinks, what is a SharePoint hub site and what do I use it for?
So SharePoint hub sites are a great way to provide structure and connectiveness across sites. So when you are building these individual sites, these little components of sites for different collaboration purposes or communication purposes, where you're building out a core specific scenario. And then you need to connect these scenarios together and give them that cohesiveness and a way for people to easily be able to feel like they're structured and connected together. That's where a hub comes in. And it's making it that central way for everything to come together. when you think about a wheel and you think about the hub and spoke model and the hub being that central component, without it, it can't function and it would never turn. And so it is very much the same thing of that is central and needed to be there for these intranets and all of these sites to get connected together and to give that sense of purpose and connection amongst these independent sites, but giving them that connection and structure together.
And I think that last point is really important to remember, that the sites themselves can still be structured in the way that they need to be to serve the business in whatever capacity, be it, certain people only are able to have access, certain content lives there or not. But when they are brought together, that value of being able to navigate all either via search or a common look and feel. And of course, the organizing side of it, when people are just thinking, how do I bring my orgs together, my projects, my products, my whatever, sales and marketing across engineering. I think there's a lot in the way that, like you described, a flat architecture gives you a lot of that flexibility, but also maintaining the side that I think IT still will really like is, how do I manage it all? And that's all baked in there.
Yes.
So this month, I think there was a really big feature. I can kind of point to a bunch of Twitter action out there, at least as one proof point that people are really excited for this one to come. And I know a couple months or weeks ago, they were really excited to see it on the roadmap. So let's talk about this month, the ability to associate a hub to a hub, or if I can get one joke in there, the lub-dub of hub to hub is the heartbeat of site architecture. You can laugh or not. You can describe, what does it mean to associate a hub to a hub, and maybe like the kind of the audible demo of how you do it.
Hub to hub association is a really great additional component to an enhancement to our existing hub architecture. So with the associated hubs, you're able to now go in and take that structure that we just built, where we have those purpose-built individual sites, and we've now connected them together into a hub so that they have that structure, that connectedness together. So that if I'm building a set of project sites and those project sites all tie into a single architecture, now I have that architecture, that hub component. And now maybe that hub component needs to level up, and I have a whole other department or division that should have awareness or be able to see something into that, where they have the ability to have that, where they have permissions, because these hub-to-hub associations do honor security trimming. They do take all of the permissions trimming right along with it. And so now I can take that and connect that hub to a hub a level above. So I now have the ability to connect hubs together up to 3 hub levels deep. So I could have that top level hub and then have a set of hubs that are associated to it. And that second level of hubs that are associated to the parent could have hubs associated to them. So you could have this like tree architecture of hubs that are connected to each other. And some of the great things about these associated hubs, as a SharePoint admin, the SharePoint admin is the role that is needed to do that level of hub association. And you do that through the SharePoint Admin Center. And what it does is it connects the content. So when you're thinking about a hub-to-hub association, it's not doing the traditional hub association of where when I associate a site to a hub, I get those policies, I get that theming applied to it, and I get the ability to roll up the content. The hub-to-hub association honors all of the components that are in the hub, but it's connecting the content together. So you're really able to search across multiple hubs and making it truly easier for people to find content throughout your organization by connecting your hubs together. So it makes searching and roll-ups a lot easier through these associated hubs. So really bringing that up a level and giving you that ability to search. And we've also done things like making it easier in your hub navigation bars at the site level to go in and edit that and add links to your associated hubs. So you can go in and add a link with a label that gives it a label for what you want to call them. And then as other hubs get associated to it, they'll show up in that dropdown. So it's important to note that those hubs stay security trimmed and that the associated hubs for the SharePoint administrator who configures them is a security trimmed way to connect content across different hubs.
I really like that you all maintain the value of a site as a site, and we value and maintain the permissions and a lot of the value within it. But as you start to connect them, they're the right things to connect, but there's also the right things to not change unless you want to manually change them, and that's true for hub to hub. One thing that I want to test is maybe a theory. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but going back to your hub and wheel metaphor, one hub would be a unicycle, two hubs together would be a bicycle, and you said that there's a multiple levels of hierarchy. Is that a tricycle?
It's a tricycle. Yeah, I guess it is.
That's really cool. That's actually one thing I'll be honest. I didn't know the multiple hub connectivity. I was just thinking kind of one-to-one, and it's really nice. It makes sense for the work that you've done and what I think our customers will want to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to be able to see it and to think about this because I've connected it together. And so I've put together, my ultimate intranet, my company hub, and then maybe I have additional hubs underneath it, and I want to connect all of those together. And so being able to connect all of them up to 3 levels deep is a really unique way to kind of build this structure.
It's really great. I mean, if you take that last thought and maybe just expand it to imagine yourself with your consultant hat on, and you get the question from a show like Ignite coming up. Imagine if somebody were just to ask, what is the one thing that I should think of when I think about my information architecture, be it a tip or trick, a best practice, or something that I should think of always when I think about planning and deployment with hub to hub in mind, but also the broader concepts that you spoke to? What would be that, let me tell you one more thing before you leave the room.
Yeah, don't over-architect it. Don't feel like everything needs to be a part of the hub-to-hub connection. Make sure that you're making decisions that make sense. What do I need to connect together? What needs that structure? Like I said, how is the user going to interact and experience this? So really thinking about what makes sense from the structure, from the architecture, and from the user perspective. So don't connect it just because you can. Connect it because it needs to be connected or because a user needs it to be connected to make finding the information simpler.
Cathy Dew, thank you for your audible and your real teal connectedness, goodness, everything that you shared. Thank you for being on the Intrazone, and thanks for all the recent work from the SharePoint team out to the world.
Thank you.
I always enjoy talking with Cathy, and with a lot of her new responsibilities in addition to what she has been working on for some time, it's really great to hear how that is all coming together and integrating into the essence of what you can now do to better organize your intelligent intranet. Let's move now to talk about teamwork. What are those things that Microsoft released in October to help you collaborate and work on things with your immediate team, a one-to-few kind of effort? First up is oriented around images. You can now edit images in SharePoint and OneDrive. You'll be able to rotate and crop, both freeform crop and the fixed aspect ratio, and flip your images horizontally or vertically. This update also includes options to adjust the light and color saturation of your images. There's no better feeling than watching an image transform from muted colors and low contrast to richly colored and stunning beauty. It's now easy to make those transformations, so you can adjust brightness, exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, and color saturation. The one caveat note here is that currently photo editing in OneDrive and SharePoint is currently limited to the JPEG and PNG formats. There's a great help article and how this adds to the additional capabilities we've been doing so that you can have a great image experience within a text web part as well. Next up, Calendar View is now in the list web part. Have you ever wanted to build out a mini dashboard for an internal event or a project schedule, and you needed to represent your list with more information but as a calendar? Well, October 2021 is your lucky month. It is also my lucky month as I plan out my day-to-day schedule. Yes, Count, we know you love using the list web part, and you love representing the calendar, especially the month of October. The SharePoint list web part in Microsoft 365 allows you to display a list from your team or site on a page and customize it with your own title, view, and even size. And now, if you've ever created a calendar view for your list, it will show properly when using the list web part. It's a great visual tool for your internal communications, especially when things are date-driven. This is something that I use a lot because I help with events across my team. I think it looks great, and it really conveys a lot of information for people to be able to go back and forth in the calendar to see what we've done and to see what's coming up next. Kind of like a marked up calendar in the break room. And that is it with teamwork. Let's move on now to related technology. First up, with Microsoft Stream, viewing the transcript for Microsoft Teams meeting is now easier than ever. For Teams meetings recorded that are saved to OneDrive or SharePoint, and they were recorded with the Teams Live transcript enabled, you'll now be able to view the transcript from that meeting directly in the transcript pane next to the video while it's playing. So during playback, people can see this transcript, and if they want to, they can click forward and back to specific sections in the video wherever they find those words of interest. For me, and I think for you, this will be a great time saver when you're looking for that part of the meeting that turned into a discussion or a topic of interest to you. It also adds a great level of accessibility to see what was spoken for meetings of any kind, planned or ad hoc. Just turn on transcripts and the rest is there for you and your colleagues when you need it. The next related technology, you can now establish official Yammer communities. You can now designate your most important communities as official. That's me doing air quotes to show that they are company endorsed within the network. Things like CEO Connections, Contoso or broader internal company news, IT help, HR support, those kind of things. This is very similar to how you see in public social spaces where certain people or entities are verified. Official communities offer a way to guide employees to the correct communities when they are searching for answers by using a familiar verified icon represented by a check mark. Network admins designate the official communities in your organization, and the benefits and clarity and trust follows out to all end users. All right, related tech, check. Now, time to close your eyes and visualize the future that's just around the corner of all your calendars. Here's 2 teasers for what's coming in November 2021. Teaser number 1, private drafts for SharePoint pages and news. This is a way to work on things with others before they go visible to everybody. Teaser number 2, updates to the site creation experience. We're making it easier for site creators to select the right type of SharePoint site during that creation flow. And that's it. That's this month's peek ahead. We'll be sure to have more details and a lot of other updates within the SharePoint Roadmap Pitstop November 2021 edition next month. Before we wrap up, and being in the Halloween spirit, I thought I'd share 3 recent shows that resonate the horror and fright most excellently. These are TV series that I've enjoyed, and I thought I'd list out to see if you're looking for something to watch either on Halloween or in the hallowed season. If you like monsters and a great It Takes a Village kind of story, Sweet Home is an intense series on Netflix that I highly recommend. It's gory, brave, and very entertaining. You never know who's going to turn or what they'll turn into. This next one is no longer a hidden gem. It's literally killing at the virtual box office. You guessed it, Squid Game, also on Netflix. Now I know this is not really a horror film or horror genre series, but it will haunt your heart nonetheless. It's really a great series. I super enjoyed watching it, and it keeps you guessing right up to the last minute. And I was thinking maybe we'll play a game of red light, green light at the next community event. What do you think? You go first. You try it and then let me know how it went. And last, a very specific episode on Disney Plus, Season 1, Episode 5 of Marvel's What If series, where the Avengers are affected with the zombie plague. Imagine superheroes that want to eat your brains. Take my word for it. It is awesome. It really is kind of spooky to see all your favorite superheroes zombified. Trust me, I think you'll like it. We've added learn more links per feature, plus a list of important resources in the show notes and in the corresponding blog post on the Microsoft Tech Community published to the SharePoint Community blog. I hope you've enjoyed this roadmap pit stop. Fold up your bat wings. It's time to relax knowing that you are all caught up. If anything still leaves you hanging upside down, scratching your head, or lumbering around, grunting strange noises. What I mean to say is if you have any questions or concerns, please send us your thoughts and comments to theinterzone@microsoft.com. We're here to put our and your best change management foot forward. Thanks for taking that step with us into the cloud month after month. Until next month, if you survive this hallowed season. This is Mark the Count Cashman saying, carry a clove of garlic and wear iron leaden turtleneck shirts for all the roadmap dangers that lie ahead. Happy Halloween to you.